Welcome to another tutorial. In today's tutorial, we are going to be building a modern portfolio with 3D effect. You are going to love this one. This tutorial is going to be focusing on helping us understand how to build modern UI in order to follow along in this tutorial successfully. All you need to know is the basis of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you will be able to follow along in this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe. If you are watching me in other platform that is not YouTube, if you are not following me yet, please go ahead and follow. Help me grow on YouTube by subscribing to my channel. Please go ahead, click on that subscribe button, and also like this video and share it with loved ones, with other people. And as you do that, thank you so much. So let's see how this project works. Just to let you know, to get a better view of this website, there's a demo link on the description section of this video. Go ahead and click it in order to view it on your end and see how it really works. This is what we're going to be creating today. So take a look at the nav bar. Look at this button here. As I hover over it, look at the slide. And also take a look at this header. And take a look at this side with a cursor. You can customize the cursor to display your name, and also take a look at this animation, this cool animation right here. That is cool. And also take a look at the bottom. If you refresh, you see it starts initially from 0 and then it will smoothly transition to what it's supposed to be. So also here is the social handles, and this is cool. We're going to be learning how to construct all of this. So take a look at the about section with this right here. If I hover over it, it pops up, and that is cool. And here is the services section. Take a look at this car with some 3D effects, and that is cool. And here is the skills section, and here is the project section. This is beautiful, guys. This is cool. And here is the testimonial section. We can go to the next, we can grab it and slide it, and that is cool. And here is a contact section. Enter your name, your email, and your message, and that is awesome. This is beautiful, guys. So this is what we're going to be building today. We can go back to the top, and also I want to let you know this is very, very responsive. Let's go to the inspect mode, and we are going to see how responsive it is. Let's click on this button to switch to responsive mode, and you will see that it is very responsive. Look at it. It's very, very responsive. We can even open the sidebar right here by clicking here. You will see that the sidebar will open. Look at it. This is beautiful, guys. So we're going to start coding right now, but please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and subscribe and like this video. Thank you. I'll be using VS Code, but you can use whatever code editor you wish to use. Let's now create a root folder for our project. So I'll create a folder here called My Portfolio. So this is our root folder. Let's drag it and drop on our VS Code to open it as a root folder. Now let's open the browser. So here is the starter code for the project. Now let's just place them side by side, and we're going to be making use of this starter code in a moment. So you can go ahead and download it, or if you have Git installed, just click here to copy the link and click on this icon to open the terminal. So here in the terminal, we're going to use git clone, then we'll paste the link, we'll copy it from GitHub and hit enter. So this will clone it, and as you can see, it has been cloned. The starter code is right here in this folder. Now let's move all the files and folder within the starter folder to the root folder. So let's click on public, and holding on shift, click on the last file, which is vit.config.js, and let's move it And as you can see, it's showing me a notification that is going to be moved to the My Portfolio folder. Now it has been moved. Let's go ahead and delete this starter folder because we don't need it anymore. Now let's go ahead and install the dependencies that this application needs. So just type in our terminal npm install and hit enter. And as you can see, all the dependencies have been installed successfully. And as you can see, the node modules folder has been added where all the dependencies we installed is stored. Now let's run this application by typing npm run dev and hit enter. So it will generate this link for us. If you are on Windows, hold on Control, and if you are on Mac, hold on Command and click on the link generator. This will open it in your default browser, as you can see here. Next, let's go ahead and hide the terminal by clicking here. Note that the terminal is still running. So anytime you just want to see it, you click again on the button. But let's hide it so that we'll have enough space to write our code. Next, let's go ahead and explore this src folder. So what you are seeing on the screen is the content of the app, right? And the app has already been rendered here in our main file, right? That's where the application is being rendered. So anything we place within the app will be rendered. Now, where we have work is this src folder. So within the src folder, we have asset folder, which contains the images, the icons we are going to be making use of. All right. Although we're going to be using React icons, but it contains most of the images, the asset we need. Now, the UI folder contains some already pre-built, animation kits that we can use. We can just go ahead and use. So as we progress in this tutorial, we're explaining all or the content of the UI each time we want to make use of any of them. So this is the app. Anything we place here will be rendered in our browser. All right. So if you see, I made a change and it just reflects. Now, here is our data.js. It contains the data we are going to be making use of. So instead of writing all of this one after the other in each of the components we're creating, that will consume a lot of time. That's why I've placed everything here so that we can just loop through them. Now here is our index.css. Here it contains the link to the fonts, Google fonts we're going to be using, and the CSS variables we're going to be using in the project, and some setups, general styles that we are going to be using. So I'll be coming back to this place to explain each of these each time we'll make use of them. All right. So here is the main.js, and it contains the import of the index.css and import of the app. We have also rendered the app here. So anything we place within app will be rendered, and also the content of index.css will be global. Next, let's create a folder where we're going to be adding all the components we're going to be creating. So let's create a folder called components. And let's go ahead and create the first component. So let's create a folder called navbar. And within this navbar, we're going to create index.jsx. And let's use refce command to create a component called navbar. And also let's create a new file within called navbar.css. Now let's import this navbar into our navbar components, and let's write navbar within it. So here in our app, let's import navbar components into our app, and let's clear up this and render the navbar. As you can see on the browser, the navbar has been added. So if we make changes in the navbar, it will reflect. Now we're going to create all the components we need. So let's create the second one, which is header. So we create a folder called header, and within the header folder, let's create header.css, and also let's create index.js. So within the index.js, let's create the header component, and let's import the header.css into our header component, and let's write header within this div, and let's come back to app and import header component, and let's add it right after navbar. Now the next component we're going to be creating is about. So let's create a folder called about within our component folder, and let's create index.js within our about folder and create the about component, and also create the about.css and import it into our about component. Let's head back also to our app and import the about from the component folder, and we will go ahead and add the about after header. And the next component we are creating is the services. So we'll create services folder and we'll create index.js within it and create the services component within the index.js. And also we'll create services.css and we import it into our services component. Now let's write services here and head back to app and import the services component, and we'll add it right after about. Now the next component we're going to be creating is the skills component. So we'll create a folder called skills, and within the skills folder we create index.js and also skills.css. So let's create the skills component and import our skills.css, sorry to say, and let's head back to app and import skills components and add it after services. So after that, let's go and create the next one, which is projects. So we'll create projects folder and we create within the project folder index.js, and we'll create the project component, and we'll also create project.css and import it into our project component. Then we'll also head back to app and we'll import project component and add it after skills. Now the next one we're going to be creating is a testimonial. So we'll create a folder called testimonials, and we are going to be creating the index.js within our testimonials folder. We'll create the component, also create testimonials.css and import it into our testimonials component, and we'll write testimonial here and head back to our app and import testimonials. All right, and we'll add it right here. Now let's create the next one, which is contact. So we'll create a folder called contact. It's still the same process. Okay, we'll create the index.js file and create the CSS file, import it into the contact component and head back to app, and also do the same thing, import it and add it after testimonials. So you see, it's still the same process. But if you take a look at the right side on the browser, you see that any component that I add will display on the browser. So we're going to be working on this one after the other. So here in the footer, we'll just create the footer.css. Also, we import it into our footer component, and let's write footer here. Let's go back to app and import footer and add it after contact. And that is cool. So look at it. This is cool. We can now work on this one after the other, starting from this nav bar. So let's change this to nav. Let's change this div to nav. I'll just select the div and use Command D or Control D to select the mesh occurrence and change it to nav. So let's give it a class name of card. So this card class name is already written in our index.css. So let's take a look at it. What CSS does it contain? So this is what it contains. It just contains padding of 20 pixel transition and backdrop filter and border radius and a background. That is what it just contains. Also flex center, it is also here. So we just basically displaying it to flex, aligning the item to center and just write the content to center, and also give it a class of navbar. And right here, let's create flex center and give it a class of logo also. So we're going to be importing this logo. So it's just an SVG, but I configure it in such a way that looks like a component. So we import the logo from our asset folder. Okay. And we're going to be placing the logo right here. Awesome. Now, after the logo, let's go ahead and let's create the next one. So this will be this let's use a side, give it a flat center, and also give it a class of sidebar. We're going to be making this somehow dynamic in such a way that In desktop, it will just be a navbar, but in mobile, it will be turned to in sidebar. So we have the sidebar top, and let's duplicate this and let's change this to sidebar middle. Now let's focus on the sidebar top. Here on the sidebar top, let's create a close btn. So I'm going to give it a class of icon container and close btn. So this icon container class is already defined here in our index.css file. And look at it here. It has equal width and height of 2.5 rem and a display of flares, and we make sure we align the items to the center. So let's add an icon. Let's search React icons on the browser and click on the first link. Here, let's search for an icon called times, and we're going to be making use of this one. So let's click on it and click here to copy this import code, and let's come and paste it here. So as for this React icons, we have already installed it. It's one of the packages that is already installed. Look at it right here. It's installed. So we are free to import icon from it. So let's add this icon here. And there is it. So here on the sidebar middle, we're going to be outputting the menu. So the menu is already here in our data.js. Look at it right here. So I'm going to be importing it here in our navbar component. I think it's menu, not menus. Okay. So we import it from data, and let's look through it using map. So we say list, then index, and we're going to return this. We're going to be using a package called React Scroll. Okay, so this will enable us to scroll to a particular section of this project of the page whenever this link is clicked. So we import link from React Scroll, and we're going to be using this link here. And let's output the name, list.name. And right here, we're going to give it a prop of 2. So this 2, we have a value of the ID of the section we want to scroll to when this particular link is being clicked. So let's just output the main, but convert it to a lowercase. So which means when we're creating those sections, we're going to be using ID that has the same name with these menu names. All right, but it's going to be in a lowercase. So as for the spy is to monitor the scrolling and to know when to activate this link. All right, for the smooth, we want the scroll to be smooth, and the offset, we want the offset to be minus 70 pixels before it activates, and the duration should be 500. Also, the class name should be tab. Let's say tab, not this. And active class, when this is active, we're going to use btn shine as the class name. Here is the style for this btn shine. So here is it in our index.css. It's just an animated, button, and that is cool. So after the aside, let's go ahead and create the buttons wrapper. So let's say flex center buttons wrapper. And within the buttons wrapper, let's create this button that we scroll to the contact section when we click on it. Let's use link to create this instead of using the anchor tag. So let's use this link and let's switch to here. So when we click on it, it will scroll to the contact section, which means when I'm creating the contact section, I'll give that section an ID called contact. So let's create the icon container, and let's import the icon we're going to be using. So the icon we're going to be using is called FA arrow up right from square. So I already know the name of the icon. If I don't, I would have gone to the React icons website and search for the icon. So you can go there, search for any icon you wish, and make use of it. So this is the icon we're going to be using. Awesome. Now next, after this link, okay, let's give it a class name first. So let's give it a class name of btn flex. So btn flex center and higher btn. Awesome. So after this, let's create the menu button right here. All right, so let's import the button. So let's import f8 bar staggered, and let's copy this. So let's add it right here, and let's give it a class name of menu, and let's give it on click. But before then, let's create a state called show sidebar right here. So let's say const, then show sidebar, and the function to reset it, the value. Okay, say show sidebar, then we use state, and look at it is imported from React. We pass the default value of false to it. And let's console log the show sidebar so that we can see the value changes, when we change the value, we can see it on the console. Okay, so this show sidebar is only console. Let's console log. Let's copy this function that we can use to change its value. So let's say on click here, then we're going to execute this. We're going to say show sidebar, then we say not show sidebar. So this means that if your sidebar is true, it will be turned to false. If it is false, it will be turned to true. We keep on switching the value between true and false. So let's click on this. As you can see, it is true now. As you can see, it is false. And that is how we detect this. So we can now change the values. So let's copy this and let's come to this close button and also paste it there, so that when we click on the close button, we can also switch the value of show sidebar. And that is cool. All right, as you can see, switching the values. Now, we're going to be using this show sidebar soon, but before then, let's create the overlay. So right here, if show sidebar is true, we're going to add an overlay. So let's create a div. This I'm going to just close it here because we're not going to be writing anything within the overlay. So let's give it a class name of aside overlay, and let's copy this also and paste it here so that when click on the overlay, it can also toggle the show sidebar on and off. Now, right here, let's remove this, and we're going to add this to logo. So I'm going to import animate scroll as scroll. So the reason why I'm doing this right now is that I want when the user clicks on this logo, it will scroll to the top. Okay, so we're going to say scroll to top. So scroll is we're going to say it's scroll to the top so that when the user clicks here, it goes back to the top. So as you can see, we don't have enough content that we can scroll yet, but when we have enough content, it will work perfectly fine. Let's close all those files and let's write some CSS code. Let's start by selecting the nav bar and let's give it align item stretch justify content space between and padding of 10 pixel top and bottom, 20 pixel left and right. Also, let's position it as fixed and let's give it a left of 50% and top of 20 pixel and also set index of 200, and also give it a width of 90% and max width of 1800 pixel, and also max width of 1000 is fine, and let's give it a border radius of 50 pixel. Now let's select the logo and give it a cursor of pointer. All right, and also let's select the SVG within the logo. Remember, the logo is an SVG, so let's give it a width of 30 pixel and height of 30 pixel. And also let's select the sidebar middle and align the items to the center and justify the content to space between and give it a gap of 0.8 rem. And next, let's select the tab and let's give it a padding of 8 pixel. And let's select, give it a font size of 18 pixel and font weight of 500. And after that, let's select the button strapper. And we are going to give it a gap of 20 pixel. That is fine. And let's select the higher BTN. This higher BTN, let's select it. And we're going to give it overflow of feeding and position of relative, and also a padding right of 3.3 rem, and a border radius of 0.7 rem. And let's give it some box shadow, insect 001.6 rem minus 0.6 rem. Then let's use this color UI 2, and that is cool. So this color UI2 is one of the variable we declare here, and look at it right here in our index.css file. Now let's select the icon within this higher button, and let's give it a background and give it a value of color primary. And after that, let's give it a color of color white, and also give it a margin left of 1 rem and a height of 2.2 rem. And also let's give it a width of 2.2 rem and a border radius of 0.7 rem, and give it some box shadow. Okay, so this box shadow, just to make it look cool and awesome. And let's give it a position of absolute and right of 0.2 rem, and let's give it a transition of 0.3 second, or let's just say bar transition. Okay, and that is cool. Let's select the higher button on hover. We are going to select the icon and give it this width. So say we calculate it in this way, 100% minus 0.6 rem, so that it will slide in. Awesome. So look at it. That is beautiful. Awesome. Okay, now we need to take a look at this. Okay, this is supposed to be flex center, not flex container. Please correct that. Awesome. This is it. Beautiful. Now, there's still some problem here. This is somehow going to the top. Let's scroll up and let's check what is going on. Okay, why is it hiding? But okay, let's just add this background right here. Let's see what is going on here. Okay, I think this is not the problem. Let's just remove this, and let's scroll up the okay. What could be the problem? Okay, let's just keep on writing. I will figure out what the problem is. So let's select the menu and also the close btn, and let's give it a font size of 25 pixel and cursor, pointer, and display none. Okay, so this on desktop, we're not going to be displaying the menu and the cancel button. This is what this means. So let's select the sidebar or the aside overlay, and let's give it a background color, a dark transparent background. So we need to use RGB because we need this to be transparent. And let's position it to fixed so that it will not scroll, and give it a top of 0 and left of 0 and a height of 100%. Also minimum height should be 100 VH. VH stands for viewport height, which is the seeable height of the browser. Okay, that is the browser screen, and that is also. Now let's give it a cursor up pointer, and now let's write some responsive code. Start by saying at media and max width of 900 pixel. Let's select a navbar, and let's give it a top of 0 and a width of 100%. Also border radius of 0 pixel, and a background. We want the background to be somehow transparent, and we're going to use this color UI2 RGB, and let's give it a transparency level of 0.5. And let's select the sidebar, and we are going to position it to fixed because we don't want it to scroll, and give it a width of 100% and a max width of 320 pixel. Now let's give it a height of 100% and a minimum height of 100 VH. That is viewport height. And let's give it a background and also give it a top of 0 and left of 0. Later on, I will change this left to another value so that it will be hidden by default. So align items, stretch, and let's give it justify content of let's start and z index of 202. So the z index need to be above the z index of the navbar. If you notice, the navbar has a z index of just 200, but for the sidebar, it has a z index of 202, so that it will be on top of the navbar. So let's say the sidebar top. So we are going to give it a left of we're going to just give it a justify content of less end and all of that. So maths the sidebar middle, you just need to add this align item stretch, justify content, log start, left direction is column and a gap of 0 pixel. Okay, now this is how it currently looks like. So let's go ahead and select the menu and the close button. Here we can now display it to flex so that it can be visible. As you can see, the this is showing on the screen. So, but there is still some problem here, but which will be fixing soon. For now, let's put this to use. So I'm going to convert this to this so that we can be able to write some code here. I think this is not the right place to write this code. It's supposed to be on where we have the sidebar class. Okay, so let's reverse this and come over here. Okay, so I'm going to say if show sidebar is true, we're going to add a class called visible. Okay. All right, so let's come over here. First of all, let's minus 500 pixel, although the max width is 320 pixel, but let's just minus 500 pixel. And when visible class is there, okay, we're going to say the left is 0 and take a look at it. Awesome, beautiful. And on a big screen, this is how it looks like. This is cool. Now let's go ahead and find out why this is hiding at the top. So take a look at this transform here. This is supposed to be just transform X. All right. And look at it. It's balanced right now and it looks cool. This is great. This is beautiful. And that is it. It can now go ahead and create other parts. Let's go to the header. Let's start by changing this to header. And we are going to give it an ID. ID of header. And let's clear this off. And let's create session wrapper. Okay, this session wrapper class is already created within our index.css. So this wrapper, we just use it to determine the maximum width of the container of each of the section and make sure that it's positioned on the center horizontally. And that is it. So from this point, I will not be talking because the remaining part of this video is very simple and easy to follow. Okay, so if you have any trouble, just write it on the comment section and I will be there to assist you. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please make sure you subscribe. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button. Help me grow on YouTube by subscribing to the channel. And as you do that, thank you so much. Now, let's keep crushing the code.